Also have my very first skateboard deck. I actually got it not because I wanted to start skateboarding, and not only that, I got a lot of things to celebrate right now. Welcome to Ängelholm Skate Park, the city of angels. Wow, this park has really changed since I was here a couple of years ago. What's up everyone, and welcome to JP Skateboard channel, and today I'm gonna celebrate 20 years as a skateboarder. So it's been 20 friggin' years since I started skateboarding, but it feels like it was yesterday. So skateboarding has given me so much over the years. I met a lot of new friends, but I also went to some locations which I would never visit otherwise. And not only that, it also helps me stay in shape. And another cool thing is that I also have my very first skateboard deck. This brand is called Chevy Skateboards. I'm not 100% sure if the brand still exists, but it was pretty good for a beginner. And of course I wanted to be cool and spray paint my last name on the grip tape. It's kinda heavy. It is still a 7-ply deck, but each layer is very thick. And a fun little side story to this deck is that I actually got it not because I wanted to start skateboarding, but actually to use it in the snow. And it was a very cheap, complete skateboard, and the first thing I did when I got home was to take off the trucks, and the virgin trip was in the snow. Eventually the snow disappeared, and the idea to put it back together again really grew on me. And I remember I played a lot of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 at the time, which really contributed to my curiosity for skateboarding. And because of that, I got the Pro model with the guy who's actually responsible for making me a skateboarder. And that is the Ronnie Mullen Uber deck from Almost Skateboards. So as a celebration and a little tribute, I'm gonna put this together and I'm gonna take it for a little spin. And not only that, I got a lot of things to celebrate right now. I'm actually gonna become a father as well. Of course, there's a lot of feelings right now. I'm really excited, but also a little bit nervous about the whole thing. But I think that's pretty normal. Everything is looking really good, and I think it's gonna be awesome from now on. We still don't know the gender, so it's gonna be a nice surprise. So let's celebrate. Time to put together the Almost Skateboard. Since I'm having a new grip tape, I think it's time to glue up my shoes. I've been skating with these shoes since August last year, and I wanted to share some updates on how these shoes has been holding up, considering the reinforced front. This is the Etnis Marana, and I have been skating a lot with these. And you can see the first layer of protection is very worn out. And underneath, it's holding up pretty good. The Michelin pattern has been grinding down a little, but it's not noticeable when skating. It's a funny thing that I always wear down the shoe soles on the exact same spot every time. And to fix it up, I use the Ice Strong from All Star Gum. It works very well and holds up for a long duration. Just gotta be careful not to apply too much of it, otherwise it will grip too good when flicking. Let it set for at least 24 hours and it looks something like this. Now putting the board together, I use a basic Jessup grip tape. I'm not very picky when it comes to grip tape, but I don't like grip tapes with crazy amount of graphics. Comparing new with old, my previous board, I think it is a We Are the Superlative Conspiracy deck. Not sure of its size, but it's very small, almost too small. The Mullen deck is 8-inch wide, 31.6 inch in length, 14.0 inch wheelbase with a mellow concave. This means I have to change the trucks. Luckily, I have a pair of fitting trucks. So I'm changing from my hollow Thunder trucks to a wider pair of polished 147 high Thunder trucks. I really like how the setup turned out. I love the simplicity of the board graphics, it's nothing extravagant, and the bubbly shining surface really gives it a nice finish. Welcome to Ängelholm Skate Park, the city of angels. Wow, this park has really changed since I was here a couple of years ago. At first, I thought I mistaken and got to the wrong park, but it really has transformed. They have this octopusy looking thing, new ledges, curbs, no forest surrounding the park, but instead there's a graffiti wall. They also replaced the old small hip with a bigger one, and since we don't have a hip in my local skate park, this was the one I wanted to dive onto. Always a good bet to warm up with a couple of 360 no complies. And that worked great. And I might as well spill the beans and let you know I'm not 100% comfortable skating hips, but I'm getting there. And all their banks are huge, very steep, not like the ones at home. So I did a couple of ollies, got a little more confident, and I got some nollie backsides too. The last one, I almost did it to an accidental manhole. I'm not gonna lie, it was terrifying. With a higher heart rate, I got back to the hip and got some frontside 180s too. And man, I feel smooth like a refrigerator. I used the hip as a bank for a while and worked on this no-comply backside pressure flip thing, or whatever you wanna call it. It's the most awkward trick, since it feels like it's more luck involved rather than skill. It took some time, but eventually I got it, and I definitely take that one. Time to try one of the curbs, and this one looked really promising. It's a little bit taller than I'm used to, but it was no problem getting up. After some 50-50 testing, I wanted to try a crooked grind, and old habits die hard, they say, and there's the crooked shove it again. As it turned out, that curve was perfect for K-grinding, and it didn't take too long to get it, but I wanted to push it and grind longer. Don't know if I held the grind longer, but at least I cleaned it up some. Staying on the curb, I was then trying to do some nose slides, and I'm still terrible at that trick. I accidentally got a sloppy one to fakie, but I wanted to have one to regular. That one was probably the best one I got today. There's still more work to be done. They also had a mani pad next to the pool area. It felt a bit misplaced. You had this big concrete stair set right at the end. It was either that or do a manual into or launching from the bank, but I had to try it nevertheless. It was about 6 inches tall, which is fine, but if you want to try something more advanced, you might want to start with a lower mani pad. But it was pretty sweet with no comply flips. It was the perfect height to smack that tail and let the board flip. One of my dream combos are no comply flip to mani, but I didn't get close. At least I got the first part of the combo. I also tried to switch frontside no comply up the mani pad. I have done that trick to mani on a very low mani pad, so I had to see if it was possible on this one, but once again I wasn't even close, but at least I got up. I gotta admit, I was very keen on that hip. That's what you get if you don't have a hip in your local skate park. I did some toe flips to fakie on it, and I wanted to try and do a toe flip to regular instead. The trick was a bit awkward at first, and doing it to fakie feels a lot safer. Now I have to land it in a tiny pivot. It turned out to be extra scary with this trick, since you don't really have the same control over it as with, for example, backside flips. Eventually I did get a couple of them. It wasn't as clean as I hoped. In the moment it felt clean, but I definitely take it. Staying on the hip course, I went for a switch frontside no comply over the hip, and all of a sudden the skate park exploded with kids. So I really had to time it right and don't crash with anyone or the 3-wheel scooter that was on the loose. I didn't get the wheels over the edge in some attempts. I did miss it by a tiny fraction, but the last one I was really happy with. It was a very long day and my legs were getting tired, but I felt like I had to get at least one flip trick on one of the big banks. And this bank is very nice, since you have a good run up, you get a good amount of speed, so you can really get up high and throw your trick up there. But it wasn't kind to my tired old legs. Most of the time I failed, I had to chase after my board. So I really had to make this trick soon before I was out of breath. But for once I was thankful for the scooter traffic, which gave me a brief moment of catching my breath. It took about 10 minutes of trying, and then I got one. Didn't have any more strength to improve it, but it was a nice cherry on top for this day. thank you for joining me on this 20 years anniversary. Let's hope for another 20 years in skateboarding service. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.